John pulled into his driveway, his tires screeching as he nearly slammed the brakes. Can you believe it? A bright red sold sign stabbed into his front yard like a dagger. His heart didn't just skip a beat. It practically leapt out of his chest in sheer panic. Confused, he squinted at his house, half expecting some punk kid's prank or maybe a ridiculous mix-up. But no! What did he see instead? Strangers, complete strangers, hauling boxes into his home like they owned the place. For a split second, he wondered, did I take a wrong turn? Am I losing it? He double-checked the address, his hands trembling. Nope, this was it, his house. No doubt about it. The same creaky porch swaying in the breeze. The same goofy garden gnome his wife snagged at a clearance sale. God, she loved that ugly thing. The same cozy little haven he'd called home for years. There they were, by a moving truck parked right in his driveway, a guy in cargo shorts and a woman in yoga pants, barking orders at movers like they were staging a grand takeover. They looked so smug, so settled happy even, as if they just landed their dream home. Dream home? His home! John flung open his car door and stumbled out, his voice quaking with disbelief. Excuse me, what the hell is going on here? The couple spun around, the man arching an eyebrow like John was some random nutcase. Who are you? He asked, all casual. John's stomach twisted into a knot. Who am I? I live here. This is my house. The woman let out a nervous little laugh, can you imagine? Clutching a folder of papers like it was her shield. No, it's our house, she said, all shaky. We just bought it from the HOA. John blinked, his brain short-circuiting. The HOA? His voice shot up, boiling with confusion. What HOA? I'm not even in an HOA. The man sighed, flipping through his precious documents like he was some big-shot lawyer. Look, I don't know what's going on, but we legally bought this place. Here's the deed transfer, see for yourself. He thrust a paper at John, and there it was. John's address in bold black ink, but instead of his name, two strangers were listed as the new owners. John's hands clenched into fists. Oh, he could have punched something, his pulse hammering in his ears like a war drum. This wasn't just a mistake. This was a full-blown nightmare. And then, oh, you won't believe this, a smug nasal voice slithered through the air, chilling his blood. Oh, you're back. Didn't think you'd return so soon, huh? John whipped around, and there she was, Karen, in all her glory. A woman in her 50s with a short blonde bob, a sweater draped over her shoulders like she was some suburban dictator, smirking at him from the sidewalk like she'd just won the lottery. Karen! The neighborhood busybody, the self-appointed queen of an HOA that didn't even exist. John narrowed his eyes, his voice low and dangerous. Karen, what did you do? She scoffed, folding her arms with that infuriating air of superiority. We, the Homeowners Association, declared your property abandoned after your extended absence. You can't just leave a house empty like that, John. We have rules. Rules? John's blood didn't just boil, it erupted. He'd been gone for 3 measly weeks on a work trip, not months, not years, 3 weeks. Was she serious? Karen pressed on, her tone dripping with fake sympathy. Ugh, it made his skin crawl. Since it was considered abandoned, we exercised our right to claim it and sell it to a responsible new owner. You weren't maintaining the property, John. The grass got a little long. The mailbox was overflowing clear signs of neglect. John's jaw hit the ground. Are you out of your damn mind? He roared. You sold my house because my grass was long? Karen flashed a tight, satisfied smile that made him want to scream. It's nothing personal, she purred. It's about maintaining neighborhood standards. Standards? What standards? Desperate. John spun to the new homeowners. You guys seriously thought this was legit? Really? The man hesitated, glancing between his paperwork and John's furious face. We were told it was a foreclosure under HOA rules, Everything checked out legally, or so we thought. John let out a bitter, humorless laugh. Oh, I guarantee you it didn't. But before he could tear into them further, guess who showed up? The police. Of course, Karen had called them, her voice all sing-song and smug. There's a trespasser on private property, she chirped, pointing at him. John saw red, pure, blazing red. He was standing on his driveway, fighting for his house, and now the cops were eyeing him like he was the criminal. One officer stepped forward, hand resting on his belt like some cowboy in a standoff. Sir, one needs you to calm down, he said, all stern. Calm down? John's voice shook with outrage. How am I supposed to calm down when these lunatics just stole my house? The officer sighed, flipping through the papers the new homeowners handed over. This looks like a civil matter, he muttered. If you have a problem, you'll need to take it to court. Court? John's stomach twisted into a pretzel. He'd read horror stories like this, homeowners losing everything to shady HOAs, tangled in loopholes and legal nonsense, but to him? No way. Karen smirked again, that infuriating little twist of her lips. I suggest you find somewhere else to stay, John. These lovely people actually pay their HOA dues. That was it, the final straw. Something in John didn't just snap, it exploded. He wasn't just going to fight this, he was going to torch her fake HOA empire to ashes. He yanked out his phone, his hands trembling with fury, and dialed. Mike, he growled, voice tight as a wire, I need you to bury someone in legal hell. Mike's laughter boomed through the line. Oh, someone finally pissed you off enough to call me. Who's the lucky victim? John locked eyes with Karen, her smugness flickering for the first time. Oh, yeah, he said, his tone icy and calm, and I want to ruin them. Karen's face twitched. Who was Mike? She had no clue, but oh, she was about to find out. Mike wasn't just a lawyer, he was a legal beast who devoured HOA fraudsters for breakfast, and Karen? She was already toast. The next morning, John woke up on his best friend's lumpy couch, still seething. Could you blame him? He'd barely slept a wink, his mind racing, replaying every insane second of the day before. His house, his own damn house, is stolen right out from under him, and the cops just shrugged like it was no big deal. Take it to court, they said. If there was any justice in this crazy world, Karen and her pathetic fake HOA would be the ones in handcuffs, not strutting around like they owned the whole damn neighborhood. Mike, his lawyer and oldest buddy, had been way too thrilled when John spilled the story the night before. John had hoped for a little sympathy, maybe a man. That sucks, but nope. Mike grinned like a kid on Christmas morning, practically bouncing with glee. You don't understand, John, he'd said, his eyes gleaming. I love taking down fake HOAs. This is going to be fun. Fun? What part of John's life imploding was fun? But deep down, John knew one thing. Mike was the best lawyer he'd ever met, heck, maybe the best in the state. And right now, that was his only lifeline. By noon, they were holed up in Mike's cluttered office, digging into every detail. Mike leaned back in his chair, flipping through Karen's flimsy paperwork with a smirk. So let me get this straight, you were gone for 3 weeks, and this nutjob decided your house was abandoned and sold it? John exhaled hard, his breath sharp with frustration. Yep. All because my grass got a little long, can you believe that? Mike whistled, long and low. That's a new one. Usually these frauds at least fake some legal cover. But this? This is amateur hour, my friend. He flipped to another page and burst out laughing, full on howling. Oh my God, look at this. She signed the sales contract herself as the president of the HOA. John frowned, confused, and Mike's grin stretched wider. And get this, there is no official HOA. It doesn't exist. Nothing in the county records, no association, no nothing. Karen just pulled it out of thin air. John's jaw tightened so hard he thought his teeth might crack. So what does that mean? Mike leaned forward, eyes glinting like a predator. It means she's screwed, John. Royally screwed. This is fraud wire fraud, real estate fraud. I could probably swing theft on a grand scale too. And if she's been pocketing cash from other neighbors under this fake HOA, that's embezzlement, baby. John's rage bubbled just under the surface. Oh, he was ready to explode. So we can sue her? Mike grinned like a shark smelling blood. Sue? Oh, we're going to do way more than sue. Within hours, Mike had whipped up a lawsuit so savage it could have doubled as a death sentence. Fraud, property theft, illegal real estate sales, misrepresentation, the works. Karen was staring down a mountain of charges that'd bury her in legal fees for life. But wait, there's more. Mike also filed an injunction to freeze every transaction on the house. Those new homeowners? They couldn't move in. The house was still John's, legally locked in his name. Take that, Karen. That evening, John and Mike rolled back into the neighborhood, the moving truck still squatting in the driveway like an unwelcome guest. The new homeowners were gone, probably rethinking their life choices, but Karen? Oh, she was there, laughing with a gaggle of neighbors like she hadn't just ruined John's life. His anger flared hot. How dare she? He'd planned to avoid her, but seeing her cackle like that? Nope, that was it. He marched right up, watching her smug face twist from amusement to annoyance. Oh, you again, Karen sneered, crossing her arms. I thought you'd have moved on by now. John smirked, his voice dripping with venom. Oh, I have. Moved on straight to a lawsuit, Karen. Her eyes widened. Excuse me? Mike stepped up, waving a thick stack of legal papers in her face like a victory flag. Congratulations, Karen. You're being sued for fraud, theft, and a dozen other things that'll financially crush you. Her smugness wobbled finally. You can't. Oh, I can. Mike cut in, smooth as silk. And I already did. Oh, and guess what? I've reported you to the county fraud department, the real estate commission, and drumroll the IRS. Because I'm betting you haven't paid a dime of taxes on all that illegal HOA cash you've been raking in. Karen's face paled. Oh, it was glorious. This is ridiculous, she sputtered. John folded his arms, leaning in. Is it, Karen? Because the judge didn't think so when he froze the sale of my house. Those poor suckers you scammed, they can't move in. The sales invalid, and you just committed a major crime. Here's a rewritten version of the content in American English, packed with emotional exclamations, questions, and added details to ramp up the excitement, while keeping all original content intact. The text now exceeds 1,400 words in a continuous format, with no headings, only additions, no omissions. Karen sputtered, her voice cracking like a broken record. You can't sue the HOA. We have rules, you know. Mike actually laughed right in her face. Oh, Karen, you don't even have an HOA. You made it up out of thin air. No board, no legal filings, nothing zip, zilch, nada. You just decided you were the boss and started scamming everyone silly enough to listen. Karen's mouth popped open. Can you believe the nerve? Then snapped shut again, her precious confidence cracking like a cheap vase. But oh no, she wasn't ready to crumble just yet. This is just a misunderstanding, she squeaked, her voice climbing higher, all shrill and desperate. I was only trying to protect property values, don't you get it? Mike shook his head, grinning like a cat with a canary. Yeah, sure, tell that to the judge. Oh, wait, you'll get your chance next week when you're sweating it out in court. Karen's eye twitched, and you could see it hit her. This wasn't some little hiccup. She could smooth over with a smile. She was in serious legal hot water now. John smirked, leaning in with a gleam in his eye. Oh, and one more thing. Karen, since you sold my house under false pretenses, I'm suing for damages too. Her throat bobbed as she swallowed hard. Damages? She croaked, like she couldn't believe her ears. Mike's grin widened. Oh, he was loving this. Oh yeah, Karen. We're talking pain and suffering, loss of property use, and my personal favorite, emotional distress. How's that sound? Karen's face twisted up like she'd bitten a lemon. "You can't do this!" she shrieked, practically stomping her foot. John laughed a full, triumphant laugh. "Karen, I already did." She spun on her heel and marched off, her usual smug swagger gone, replaced by a stiff, angry shuffle. For the first time since this whole insane nightmare kicked off, John felt the sweet rush of having the upper hand finally. As they climbed back into the car, John exhaled deeply, the tension draining from his shoulders like water down a sink. "God, that felt so good. Did you see her face?" Mike chuckled, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "Oh, trust me, buddy. The best part hasn't even started yet. When we get to court, that's when she'll really regret crossing you, mark my words." John nodded, his jaw set with determination. This wasn't just about getting his house back anymore. Oh no. He was on a mission to topple Karen's entire fake empire, and he could practically taste the victory. The day of the court hearing sneaked up faster than John ever imagined. Can you believe how time flies when you're plotting revenge? He sat outside the courtroom with Mike, running a shaky hand through his hair as the weight of it all sank in. The last few days had been a total whirlwind, legal filings flying left and right, transactions frozen solid, and Karen flailing around, trying and failing miserably to weasel her way out of the mess she'd made. She'd sent him passive-aggressive emails. Can you imagine the gall? Tried sweet-talking the new homeowners into some shady deal, and even roped in her little posse of fake HOA cronies to back her up. None of it worked, not a single bit. The law was on John's side, shining like a beacon of justice, and now it was time to prove it, bring it on. When the bailiff finally bellowed their names, John stood tall, his heart pounding like a drum roll as he strode into the courtroom. Karen was already there, slumped at the defendant's table, looking more rattled than a rattlesnake in a blender. Where was that smug superiority now, huh? Gone. In its place sat a woman who knew she was neck-deep in trouble, clawing at any last shred of control she could grab. The judge, an older guy with a stern face and a no-nonsense vibe that could freeze lava, peered over the case file for what felt like forever before adjusting his glasses. "Let me get this straight," he said, his voice sharp as he flicked his gaze to Karen. "You, as president of a homeowners association, sold this man's house because you thought it was abandoned? Is that what you're telling me?" Karen cleared her throat, lifting her chin like she still had some dignity to cling to. "Yes, Your Honor. As per HOA guidelines, abandoned properties are subject to recovery and resale to keep up neighborhood standards. Simple as that." The judge flipped a page in the file, his brow furrowing. "According to county records, there's no registered homeowners association in this neighborhood, not a trace." Karen's lips pressed into a thin, tight line. "That's just a clerical error," she insisted, but Mike let out a quiet chuckle. Oh, he couldn't help himself, and John had to bite back a grin. The judge was already unimpressed. Could this get any better? That sharp gaze swung back to Karen, pinning her like a bug on a board. "And you were the sole person overseeing this transaction?" he pressed. Karen nodded, all prim and proper. "Yes, as the acting president of the HOA." Mike shot to his feet, voice ringing out. "Your Honor, let's be crystal clear here. She wasn't acting as president of anything. This HOA? It doesn't exist, not legally, not at all. No vote, no registration, no tax filings, no board, nothing. She just invented the whole thing and used it to commit fraud, plain and simple." Karen scoffed, her face twisting. "That's not true," she snapped. But oh, she was grasping at straws now. Mike smirked, cool as ice. "Oh, really? Then please, Karen, provide the court with the official HOA documentation. Go ahead. We'll wait." She hesitated, her eyes darting. "I don't have it with me at the moment," she mumbled. The judge frowned, leaning forward. "Do you have it at all?" Silence dead, glorious silence. Mike folded his arms, smug as can be. "Interesting, huh? because county records show she filed fake paperwork declaring herself HOA president 3 days after selling John's home. Meaning, Your Honor, she committed real estate fraud, operating under false pretenses. Bam! John had never seen someone squirm so hard. Karen was practically melting in her seat. The judge exhaled slowly, his patience wearing thin, and turned to Karen. Miss Langley, do you have an actual legal defense here? Because all I'm seeing is fraudulent activity, a completely made-up organization, and one of the most outrageous misuses of property law I've ever laid eyes on. What's your excuse? Karen's face flushed red bright, tomato red. Your Honor, I was only trying to protect the neighborhood. There are rules, she pleaded. The judge held up a hand, cutting her off. There are no rules because there's no homeowners association. You acted on personal authority you didn't have, forged legal documents, and illegally transferred property that was never yours to touch. End of story. He swiveled to Mike. You're requesting full damages? Mike nodded. All business. Absolutely, Your Honor. Property loss damages, emotional distress, legal fees, and here's the kicker, since she's been collecting illegal HOA dues from multiple residents for years, we're filing a class action lawsuit too. Karen's mouth opened, then clamped shut. Oh, you could almost hear the panic screaming in her head. The judge leaned forward, eyes narrowing. And just how many residents have been paying into this non-existent HOA? Mike slid a file across the table with a flourish. According to these bank statements, dozens. She's been running a full-on scam for years. Unbelievable. The courtroom fell silent, the tension thick enough to choke on. Then the judge sighed, long and heavy. Miss Langley, do you have anything to say for yourself before I rule? Karen swallowed hard, her voice small. I was only trying to help. The judge didn't even flinch, unimpressed, didn't cover it. Help yourself, maybe. My ruling is this. The sale of the plaintiff's home is null and void. Done. The property legally belongs to Mr. Callahan. Miss Langley is ordered to pay all legal fees and return every single dime she's ever collected from residents under her fake HOA scam. And finally, she's referred to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges, fraud, real estate misrepresentation, the works. Karen's whole body sagged like a deflated balloon. The smugness, the superiority, crumbled to dust. She'd lost, oh, how she'd lost. John let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding, sweet relief flooding through him. It was over, finally over. As they left the courtroom, the news had already spread like wildfire. Other scammed homeowners were furious. Can you imagine the uproar? Karen's house, still hers for now, had a growing mob of angry neighbors outside, shouting for their money back. Mike grinned as they strolled to the parking lot. That was almost too easy. Did you see her collapse? John smirked, savoring the moment. I have a feeling Karen's in for a really bad week. Mike chuckled. Try the rest of her life, pal. A few weeks later, John was back in his house, his beautiful, hard-won house. Everything was almost normal again, almost. Karen had vanished from the neighborhood, forced to sell her own place to cover her mountain of debt. Good riddance. The IRS was sniffing around her finances, and from what John heard, they weren't happy, not one bit. The new homeowners? They'd gotten their money back from that shady deal and hightailed it out of there, probably cursing the day they ever met Karen. John stood on his front porch, sipping coffee, soaking in the peace, when a familiar car rolled up. Mike stepped out, looking way too pleased with himself again. Thought I'd swing by and check out the kingdom you fought so hard for, he said, eyeing the house with a grin. Still standing no new HOA signs? John laughed, a real hearty laugh. Nope. And if anyone even whispers HOA around me again, I might just lose it seriously. Mike smirked, mischief dancing in his eyes. Well, in that case, you might like this. He handed John an envelope. John opened it, confused, and holy cow, it was a foreclosure notice for Karen's house. His eyebrows shot up. You bought her house? Mike grinned, all teeth. Not yet, but the bank's auctioning it off next month. Thought you might want to bid on it? How's that for a twist? John stared at the notice, then at the empty house across the street, a slow, wicked smile spreading across his face. Oh, he said, taking another sip of coffee. I love that idea. And just like that, the final nail was hammered into Karen's coffin. The fake HOA queen had lost everything, and John? He'd won in the absolute best way possible. Take that, Karen.